Hello students, in today's session let us know about various acts to prevent the natural resources. In this, first we will discuss about the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, which was amended on 1988. The Water Act was enacted under Article 252, subclause 1 of the Constitution as a social welfare measure. The Act states to prevent and control water pollution, to establish central and state boards for the prevention and control of water pollution, and to provide and confer powers and functions to the central and state boards to restore wholesomeness of water. Let us see what are the functions of central board. The central board has to advise the central government on matters concerning with prevention and control of water pollution. The board has to provide technical assistance and guidance to state boards and sponsor investigation and research relating to water pollution. It is the duty of the central board to plan and organize the training of persons engaged in prevention, control or abatement of water pollution. It has to collect, compile and publish technical and statistical data relating to water pollution. To lay down the standards for a stream of well waters, to plan and organize nationwide programs for the prevention and control of water pollution. The central board has to establish or recognize laboratories for analysis of water samples or trade effluents or any sewage. After knowing the functions of the central board, let us know about the various functions of state board. The functions of state board are as follows. The state board has to advise the state government on matters relating to prevention and abatement of water pollution. The state board has to plan a comprehensive program for the prevention, control or abatement of water pollution. The board has to encourage and conduct investigations and research relating to the problems of water pollution. It is the duty of the state board to collaborate with the central board in organizing training programs relating to the control of water pollution and to organize related mass education program. To evolve efficient methods of disposal of sewage and trade effluents on land or into a water body. To lay down effluent standards to be compiled with by persons while discharging sewage or sludge or both. The state board has to advise the state government with respect to the location of any industry which is likely to pollute a stream or well. To establish or recognize laboratories for analysis of water of any sewage or trade effluents. It is the responsibility of the state board to perform any such other functions as may be prescribed by the central or state government. After knowing the Water Prevention and Control Pollution Act and the functions of central and state boards to prevent and control the water pollution, now let us move on to the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 amended on 1987. This act was enacted by the Parliament to implement the decisions taken at the UN Conference on the Human Environment held at Stockholm in June 1972. The main objectives of this act are to prevent and control air pollution, to establish central and state boards for the prevention and control of air pollution, and to provide and confer powers and functions to the central and state boards to restore wholesomeness of air. Now, let us see what are the functions of central boards. The functions of central board are as follows. The central board has to advise central government and state boards about improvement in the quality of air and issues related to air pollution. The board has to plan and supervise implementations of nationwide program for prevention and abatement of air pollution. It has to provide technical assistance and guidance to state boards and industries for prevention and control of air pollution. It is the responsibility of the central board to utilize the services of mass media in educating public about the causes, effects, prevention and control of air pollution. The board has to lay down standards for quality air. It is the duty of the central board to establish or earmark laboratories for the analysis of air samples. The board has to plan and organize training of persons in the field of air pollution. The central board has to collect, compile and publish technical and statistical data relating to air pollution. Now, let us see what are the functions of state board. The functions of the state board are as follows. The state board has to advise state government on matters concerning air pollution. The board has to plan programs for prevention and control or abatement of air pollution. The board needs to identify the areas or industries causing or likely to cause air pollution. The state board has to inspect air quality in air control area from time to time and take steps to reduce the pollution. The state board has the responsibility to lay down standards for air quality in consultation with central board. The state board has to collect and disseminate information related to causes, prevention and control of air pollution. Now that we have learnt about the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act and the functions of central and state boards to prevent and control the air pollution, let us move on to know about the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, amended on 1991. So, this act safeguards wild animals, birds and plants. Under the Wildlife Protection Act, Indian Board of Wildlife was established, which is chaired by the Prime Minister of India, and wildlife advisory boards were constituted for each state. The Wildlife Act has the following objectives. First, restriction and prohibition on hunting and trapping of wildlife, protection of rare and specified plant species, preparation of lists of endangered, rare and threatened species by the Botanical Survey of India and Zoological Survey of India. Preservation of biological diversity by setting up and managing national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. Empowering zoo authority with control of zoo and captive breeding of the endangered species. Control of trade and commerce in some wildlife species, wildlife products and trophies. Setting up of guideline for issuing license for arms in surrounding areas of wildlife sanctuaries. Impounding of all weapons, tools and vehicles used for committing wildlife offences. Several conservation projects for individual endangered species like Lion Conservation Act 1972, Tiger Conservation Act 1973, Crocodile Conservation Act 1974 and Brown Antlered Deer Conservation Act 1981 was started under this act. The act is adopted by all states in India except Jammu and Kashmir, which has its own act. There are certain drawbacks in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Let us try to know what these drawbacks are. The Wildlife Protection Act does not have any locally evolved conservation measures. In this act, the ownership certificates for animal articles like tiger, leopard skins, etc. are permissible, which very often serve as a tool for illegal trading. The Jammu and Kashmir state has its own Wildlife Act, which does not follow the Central Wildlife Act, and hunting and trading of several endangered species which are prohibited in other states are allowed in Jammu and Kashmir. As a result, the wildlife traders in Jammu and Kashmir can get wildlife articles illegally from other states. The offender of the act is not subjected to very harsh punishments. The offenders can be fined of rupees 25,000 or imprisoned for 3 years or both, which is not enough to deal with the poachers and wildlife traders. So, in this session we have learnt about the various prevention and control of pollution acts like water, air and wildlife protection acts, and about the various functions of the central and state boards to prevent and control the pollutions. Hope you have got a good insight on various prevention and control of pollution acts and functions of central and state government. Until we meet again, bye.